All right, Juanitosville, we are live, and we are going to be working on some feathers today. You probably wonder why I'm talking like this. I was told that, what the hell do I know? I'm just wet behind the ears jewelry designer. So I decide that I'm gonna, fast forward to old man status so that I can get respect in the field of silver.
Just kidding, guys. All right, so we're going to start with our first feather. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people say. I do me, baby. We're going to go like this. We're going to do 2 feathers. Look at that. We got about 2. Feathers are always different sizes. So I'm not going to try to make 2 exactly the same size. Although if I wanted to, I could. And we would just use math. This would be our middle point right here. So we'll just give ourselves, let's make 2 feathers the same size. Let's pretend like we care. Okay, let's pretend like we care about that stuff. 22 gauge, guys. We're gonna use our snippers. Don't cut your fingers like I do. Almost pretty, oh God, my finger was almost in the way. I was gonna cut myself in front of my friends. Oh geez, okay. Wham splam. Thank you, man. There are 2 kinds of feathers. There are single-sided feathers that just has, and all feathers have a stem. If you guys, I should get a picture of a feather. Hold on. All right, guys, I'm back. I had to catch a bird with my bare hands. What I want to show you guys, and I see so many feathers out there. So the stem, you can see the stem doesn't go all the way to the very edge of the feather. So many feathers I see out there have the stem go all the way to the very, very edge, but that's not what feathers look like. The stem ends just a little bit before the edge of the end of the feather. Many times you can do a one-sided feather that you might use for adornments. You're going to put on the end of a bracelet or on a pendant, and you want the back side to be flat. So this one we're going to do a 2-sided feather, and we use half round wire for that, and you'll see where that goes. So as a design preference for me, sometimes I like the feathers to look, see how it's kind of, the slope is going like that angle like that. Sometimes I like, instead of it just being a perfectly round, or not perfectly round, but yeah, just rounded and symmetrical, it's okay to force the issue a little bit, guys. This is what we're looking like. So the next step is to get our half round wire, and we're gonna put the stems on. 2 feathers, half round 16 gauge. You can use 14 gauge. I'm gonna use 16 gauge today. Boom, kids. Then we're gonna dome this edge here so that it looks more natural. With the back of the half round on our finger, we're gonna give it a little domey kind of twist. Yeah, a little bit more. All right, Juanitosville, we sanded the half round wires, 22 gauge feathers, kind of a random cut look. I sanded both sides, and you want to make sure that you sand it because the oil from your fried chicken you had that morning for breakfast, because you know you probably had fried chicken for breakfast. You want to get the oils off your fingers, off the silver. And look at this, guys, brand new. Look at my old one compared to my new one. I know it's hard for me to throw things away, but I'm gonna throw this away. Don't need you anymore, buddy. Sometimes I'll put flux on my cotton swab when it's a wire like this, and then I'll just rub. My bowl, it's clean. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's actually really clean in there. I think it's discolored from the times I put my hot to grab more solder, and it's hot. It's just stained like everything else in my life. Big old stain. So I got some, I'm going to use medium solder. I have been moving towards using more hard solder, but I got some medium solder here, and I'm going to show you guys how I cut my solder, because some people have struggle with this. They say, how do you cut your solder without it flying all over the place? And I'll show you how I do it. But what I do here is I just kind of make it flat with my finger, and then I put my thumb I put my thumb right there, and then I cut along my thumb line, and the solder hits my thumb and goes right into the bowl. No wasted pieces. No pieces flying. I just give it a... How satisfying. So, just like we talked about, we don't want the stem to go all the way to the edge. I don't. So I'm just going to give it one of these numbers. And we want it to be as even as it can be. Ow, that block's still hot. Ow. I did not make it long enough. God dang it. All right, friends, I have the new ones. I decided to go 75 millimeters. These other ones that I made that are a little bit shorter, I'm going to save those for smaller feathers down the road. So, not all is lost, friends. Not all is lost. But, and the good thing is I get to show you guys me putting solder on these flat places. I sanded, put flux on. So we're ready to fire it up and put some solder with our number 3 tip on our torch. There we go, boom. Nice and on that face. Now we're gonna do this one. Right on the face. Boom. That one worked. Now we're gonna do this end. So what we're gonna do is down the middle, and hope they come together in a nice, and if they're off like that, you just kind of pull it down a little bit, and boom, nice and even. So this is important, guys, to look at both sides, because this might look good here, but on this side, it looks like that. So you want to make sure you monitor both sides so that you have a nice middle of the feather on both sides. And then we're just gonna give it one of these. I'm gonna add some heat to this bad boy and make it happen rapping, friends. This is a heat sink, so you can actually heat up the third hand a little bit, just so that it's not so much of a heat sink. And I'm just looking at it with my owl eyes. Part eagle, part owl. Yeah, it's kind of a thing I invented. Okay, that ran, and the bottom ran, so we're good. That was that uneventful, friends, which is a good thing, because I don't need the drama. All right, guys, we are at the stage where we're going to do some texturing on this feather, and there's several ways you can do it. Leave me alone, I'm busy. There's several ways you can do it, but the way I like to do it, and the way I was taught by Melanie Klein, is I use these guys, and I got these at Harbor Freight. I put a mark here to denote what side I like on the top. You'll find as you use your fingers and what works for you. I'm left-handed, so I like the flesh side to be against my finger. So I start like this, and I always start, the way I start it is right at the very end, at the tip, and I just give it one of these numbers. The key is not to bite into the stem, and I make that mistake all the time, but I'm gonna try to do good for you guys right now, so because you're watching. But once you get your bearings and where you are on the piece, squeeze, push, squeeze, push, squeeze, push, squeeze, push, squeeze, push, squeeze, push. It's a forearm workout, guys. It's one of those little springy things they had in the 70s to make your arm strong. Boom, that's what we have so far on that side. Now we go back to the tip and we work our way the other way. Boom. And like a real feather, on one of the sides, I usually do more of an angle. And it's usually on this side. It's important to study some feathers, guys. Look at feathers of birds that... So boom, you see what we have right there? This has more of an angle like that, and this has more of an out angle, and that's what I like because it looks like a real feather. And then from this point, I can be done right there, and it looks pretty uniform. And it happens on both sides because I work both sides at the same time. for purposes of this video, I'm going to go a little heavier. I'm going to do another one because I believe in myself. You might want to look and make sure you're not cross-hatching. As long as you don't cross-hatch, you're going to be good. Feathers, in Native American culture, it represents freedom. Moving around, moving and shaking, waking and baking, friends. A little bit of crossage right there, it looks like. I have not done this. I should have made a practice, do a practice run. Give yourself grace. We're going to do the other one. I bet we do better. Boom. See, like I said, it was better. My second one's better. And I like how whenever you do that, it kind of warps it and it makes it look like a real feather. But we'll intentionally warp it later. But that's what the stage we're at now. Now we're going to soften. Before we soften it, actually, we're going to do another step. We're going to start to cut into this thing and we'll give it some jaggeds, random jaggeds. Alrighty, Juanitos, we are here. I didn't do any, I kind of just hammered them down a little bit. And now we're going to go into these details and cut in a little bit as a random little cuts. You'll see how I do this. Some of them I like to do just lines in. On this one, I follow the line of one of the lines, and then I give it a 90-degree turn left, and then I break my saw blade in front of my friends, and then you end up with one of these numbers. It looks like a notch out of the feather. So we'll do a couple of those, just random. This is art. And then I take my handy dandy little triangle file, and then I just accentuate and soften. Oops. Oh, and look at, see what I told you not to do? That's what I did. I tapped into that. Not on this side, but on the back side, so I wasn't paying very close attention, but I can file that off. Try. Dang, that sucks. We just get a nice little bend. No right or wrong, guys. No right or wrong. Boom. Kind of looks like a feather. We're just going to do a little bit more filing and just kind of clean this up, and then we're going to shape it, and then we're going to go on to the next step. So we have the feather. We did a little bit of texture. Filing, just kind of making it look rugged. It's going to go through a whole polishing process, so it's going to soften up quite a bit. The next step we're going to do is the wrap, and the way I do it is typically I'll just get a piece of, today I'm going to use 20 gauge copper. I put it in, then I twist it tight. There we go. And then I get what I do is snip this. And then I bend this in so it goes to the inside of the loop, of the hoop. That's the beginnings of it. All right, Rebels. These are the feathers out of the acid. This one I did really pretty good. A couple little nicks. I need to do better, guys. I'm sorry. I wish I could do a better example for you guys. I hadn't done it in a while, and I'm glad I did these. Very simple. A couple little pieces of scrap. It's made out of scrap, copper, twist wire product. But those are feathers, guys, and anybody can do them. They're really not that hard. And if you like this style, do it. If you like them to look clean and pristine, you can just leave them. So it's really up to the artist preference. Here's some cross-hatching example. This is a great example of what not to do. Cross-hatching right there, biting into the stem here of what not to do. Do not cross-hatch. Very hard to cover that up. Do not bite into the stem. Very hard to cover up. This was the feather. That's the don't do it like this feather. And this is the do it like this feather. No cross-hatching, no biting into the stem. I'm glad I made two. I did better on my second one. Although, yeah, I did better on my second one. I'd like to trim that a little bit right there. But, yeah, that's it. We're going to do a little bit of bending so it looks like an actual feather. And then, bam, we're good to go, homies. All right, revolutionaries. This is the two separate freedom feathers. not polished yet, but we have copper stem wraps, kind of random texture design. Turned out pretty good. I hope you guys enjoy going out there and making some feathers, and as adornments or as earrings or pendants, little necklaces. You can put jump rings on these and put them on. You can put a chain right through that, and then put that right on your chain. So yeah, enjoy, guys. Thanks for watching. Bam boom, and I'm out.